Now back to Sylvester versus Tweety on Cartoon Network.
Early in the show, we were speaking of intangibles. Today, Tweety will be battling without his favorite starting guard and canine aggressor, Hector, who suffered this untimely season-ending leg injury in a game in New York last Monday night. And for those of you at home, hey, if you have a weak stomach, you might not want to watch this.
Right there, you can see that leg just bounces right off the bed. Well, I don't know if I've ever seen that happen.
You know, I was watching at home on Monday night, and I just thought he'd gotten sacked, so I got up to make a sandwich. Then my wife yelled that Granny had come in with the casserole, and boy, I knew something was wrong.
You know, I was on a plane going from Washington to Pittsburgh, and of all things, they interrupted the Odd Couple sequel to show this. I'll never forget the uncomfortable look on people's faces.
You know what? I didn't pick up the first 93 times they showed this was Sylvester's reaction. As we're watching now, you can tell even he knows something is up. You gotta wonder if this is gonna affect his aggressive style of play today.
Well, the bigger question is, how bad does this hurt Tweety, and is this the kind of injury that can send Hector to the farm for good?
Well, you always like to have somebody on your side who's not afraid to swallow your opponent. And I don't think there's enough polygrip in Florida for Granny to eat a cat. But Tweety can't worry about that. He has to play his game. What Hector has to worry about is getting himself 100% for next season.
Yeah, but even once you're 100% physically, you still got to get that mental part over with. Joe Theismann once told me he would sweat so bad every time he saw a rewind button. He even had all his removed. And you know what those rental places charge you when you don't rewind?
Woo-hoo, it's a healthy bit, I'll tell you that. The healing never ends. We'll be back in a bit.
You're watching Sylvester versus Tweety, the pregame show with Lem, Nick, and Jerry. We'll be right back to the Sylvester versus Tweety pregame show with Lem, Nick, and Jerry on Cartoon Network.
Don't be afraid. There are little surprises everywhere, but nothing too dangerous. Here is a world few have seen, where fruit-flavored runts are collected with only the most modern equipment known to man. Next, we see the super deluxe chewification process. That's how chewy runts get so chewy. And coming soon, chewy vegetables. Just kidding.
Chewy runts from the wild world of Wonka.
What will he think of next?
Now back to Lem, Nick, and Jerry and the Sylvester versus Tweety pregame show.
Everybody knows when it comes to true sports fans, there is no such thing as subtlety. Right now, Fred Khalil is somewhere in the middle of a few of those fans who seem to be fairly animated themselves. Fred?
Well, Lem, they told me this was supposed to be neutral territory for Tweety and Sylvester. But I got to tell you, it is more like a war zone here today. These fans are excited, and why not? They have waited a long time to get to this point, and they are ready to see some fur, feathers, whichever the case may be, fly here today. Earlier, I went out into this crowd and talked to some of the fans to get their thoughts on today's big game. Oh, we have some Sylvester fans here lapping up some pregame drinks. Your thoughts?
Got milk.
Oh, boy, a comedian. What is your name? And what's your name? And who are you? You know what? Wait a minute. You know, you seem to show up everywhere.
Oh, yeah, man. Wherever the game is, that's where I'm going to be.
How do you find the camera? That's what I want to know.
Well, hey, man, the camera finds me. Hey, all right.
Unbelievable. Well, I understand that you have a dance, Chop Tweety's.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Let's see it.
All right.
What's your name? W. Well, no matter how this game turns out, one thing's for sure. Somebody is going to be in the catbird seat tonight. Back to you guys.
Man, I'll tell you what, I never thought I'd have ever seen anything that made the Hagettes look cute.
Well, I'm not sure which is more frightening, Nick, facing a front line of Butkus, Dobler, and Nitschke, or being a waiter in that crowd.
Hey, if I had a few more that looked like that, they'd be naming streets after me in Atlanta right now.
They already do. You just don't want to drive your car down them.
But you know, I can't believe I'm seeing so many fired-up Tweety fans. They've not exactly been filling up the seats throughout the playoffs.
That's because all those blue-blooded Tweety fans are spoiled. They've dominated all year. It's like, oh, another win. We can still get in 18 holes before tea time. But you look at the rough-tongued Sylvester fans, they're screaming. They're licking each other's heads. They're having furball fights in the aisle. They're just happy to be alive in this thing. You talk about those empty seats for Tweety? I heard Sylvester fans say there hasn't been an empty seat for Sylvester since 23. And that's when a girder beam fell and wiped out a whole section.
Well, judging by that crowd, I think that girder beam must have bounced off a few heads before it hit the ground. Hey, folks, we're going to be back in just a bit.
You did draw a putty cat.
You're watching Cartoon Network Sports.
Hey, what do you got there?
The video game has over 200 games.
Cool, 200 games?
That's right, over 200 games.